Hey guys, my name is Mitsumiyo, and welcome to your episode of Monday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I'll give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you'd like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook or Twitter message. The first question today comes from Garrett, and it is, are you worried that Kali is going to be overpowered? Yeah, I do have my concerns, but the reason why I selected this question for today is that it seems like everyone is worried about this, and I've already been getting suggestions for Sunday Mailbox on how players think that she needs to get nerfed, either from changing the way that her weapon performs or her gadgets. And while I like that people are thinking critically about this, and they're invested in Rainbow Six Siege, and they want this new season to succeed, I feel like people are jumping to conclusions way too quickly. No one has played this new operator. This is a trend that happens every single season. And while I will admit that I do this as well, I see a new character, I look at their gadget, I think that's going to be game breaking. But lo and behold, it's not. I thought that Nook, for example, when I first heard about her gadget, that was going to be a meta shifting character. Someone that is able to completely go invisible to cameras. That seems really powerful. But lo and behold, after we actually got to play her weapon was very lackluster, her gadget doesn't actually last very long, she's not really all that great. And while I don't know if that's going to apply to Kali, we just need to slow things down a little bit and give her feedback once we're actually able to play her on the test server. I have a feeling that she's not going to be nearly as overpowered as people are making her out to be. The fact that she has not only a slow RPM, but also a slow aim down sight speed is going to be a pretty big hindrance that she has to overcome. And as long as you know that there's a Kali on the offensive team and you play it differently, it's going to be very difficult for her to even be able to take advantage of that one-shot potential. If all she can see when she rounds the corner is your head because you're holding a good position, it doesn't matter that she has that really powerful weapon if it's on a level playing field. Now she has to get that headshot just like you would, but with a very slow RPM. And so overall, I'm really curious to see how everything is going to play out. Who knows, maybe she is going to be overpowered and they need to go on in and make some changes, but I wanted to address these questions in particular because I feel like we need to kind of pump the brakes and realize that not every character that is introduced is going to be borderline broken, and that we need to actually play them before we make these kinds of decisions. The next question comes from Wyatt, and it is, I would really love to see a random charm and camo option for the weapons. I have so many skins and charms that I don't get to use or see in game. I think that that is a glorious idea. One thing that I've always struggled with, and I realize that this is not a big issue whatsoever, is actually changing my customization. I kind of fall into a pattern where I basically just apply the seasonal skins on every single one of my weapons, and then I just kind of leave them with that the entire season. And then I always forget, oh, I should probably change these on my operators, but I just don't remember every single time that I load into the next round. Because I've been playing Siege since the very beginning, I have a fair amount of customization items lying around, from the seasonal ones or the ones that I purchased along the way, and to have a random button that I could just select for each of my operators or turn it on and off, I think that it would be an amazing addition, just so I could actually show these off or just enjoy them more without having to manually do it every single time. And well, once again, I realize that this is not a very big issue. This is not something that they need to prioritize, but if eventually Ubisoft went on in and gave us this kind of functionality, I think that this would be absolutely incredible. The next question comes from Fraser, and it is, do you think that there should be presets for loadouts in Rainbow Six Siege? So on paper, this seems reasonable. A lot of other video games have this kind of functionality where they allow you to save your different loadouts. You don't have to go into the different menus and change out all the different attachments. You can just click one button and then load into the game. But for Siege, I don't really know if that is necessary. Let's be completely honest, this game does not have a lot of customization options when it comes to the attachments available. You got a couple of sights, a couple of different barrels here and there, but that's really about it. How many of you are actually changing your loadouts every couple of rounds. And so I don't think that this is necessary. Like, maybe I'm the odd one out here, and a lot of you guys think that this is a great idea, but there is so few customization in this game. With just a quick couple of buttons, you can already change your loadout to what you want really quickly already. This isn't like the new Call of Duty where there are 5 different slots and 20 different kinds of optics that you can choose from. It's a lot more simplistic. And so while I definitely would not be opposed if they introduced something like this, I think that the customization is already simplistic enough where I just don't think that this should be a priority. The next question comes from Hogan, and it is, do you think that buildings in Call of Duty Ground War should be destructible like they are in Battlefield? This would help with the camping issue in my opinion. Well, I will admit that not only that would be amazing, but also would make camping much more difficult. If that building that those snipers were on the entire match just no longer existed, or the rooftop itself kind of crumbled on in and made that no longer a viable camping spot, I think that that would add in a lot more variety and a lot more ways to dynamically change the way that you play on these maps. The thing is, though, and it's a pretty big issue, is that I don't even think that the engine that they're using has the capability for destruction. The reason why Battlefield has been known for that destructibility is because of their Frostbite engine. Even with all of its problems, Frostbite at its core is really great at having more of that dynamic gameplay. I don't really know if that's even feasible with Call of Duty. Even if they were able to do this, I don't think it'd be a simple solution or even would solve the problem that you're talking about. As soon as you introduce destructibility into your maps, that is going to make actual map balance much more challenging. You now have to take all these new angles into consideration. It's one of the reasons why Rainbow Six Siege, the maps take a significant amount of time, and they've even gotten to the point where we only get like one new map every single season now because they are so difficult to balance properly. The map might work really well with no destructibility, but as soon as you add it on in, it adds in too many layers and too many variables that the players now have to take into consideration, and it just ruins the map. You really have to build the maps from the ground up with this concept in mind, and I don't think that that is the case whatsoever with this Call of Duty. What I would much rather just see them do, especially if you're playing on Ground War in particular, that's the mode I spend a lot of time with, is just remove the amount of rooftops that are accessible. I understand that it makes the map feel more realistic. You can have anyone anywhere at any given moment, but it really makes it difficult and ruins the flow of the map where you just can't even predict where someone is going to be at any given moment. Constantly getting taken out from rooftop campers gets obnoxious. And while I understand that it's actually not that difficult to deal with them if you know where they are, the difficult part is realizing where they are on the map. And so all in all, while I think it'd be amazing if they actually added in some destructibility into the Call of Duty franchise, I just don't see that happening. You would have to build these maps from the ground up, and even if they did, I don't know if it would be a simple solution and would even solve the camping problem. It's not like people don't camp in the Battlefield franchise. You have to look more into the systemic issues or the reason why that's happening. Maybe it's the slow movement speed. Maybe it's the really fast TTK. A lot of these other reasons might be contributing to it and not necessarily the map design itself. But obviously, that is just my opinion. The next question comes from Brayden, and it is, do you think that the cloaking ability in the hide and seek game mode might be a hint for a new operator? I hope not. Can you imagine how incredibly annoying that would be? An operator that can literally go invisible in front of your very eyes. Even if they weren't even able to use their primary weapon and they had to go through a very lengthy animation to be able to go invisible, move around, and then bring up their weapon as soon as they decloak, that would still be frustrating. This ability would be ridiculous for both offense and defense. You drone on in, you identify that this new character is on the right-hand side of the room, you make the call out, your teammate push in, assuming that that's the case, and then you just simply can't find him, and then all of a sudden he pops up behind you and takes you out. That would be awful. Like, I really hope, and I would be very surprised, let's be honest, if this was ever something that they would introduce. I know that Rainbow Six Siege is getting more and more futuristic. They're adding in characters like Kali. Wamai has a gadget that we've never seen before. Like, these are definitely high-tech futuristic gadgets, but if it ever gets to the point where they're introducing an operator that can literally go invisible, I feel like that's kind of going to be the downturn of Rainbow Six Siege. Who knows? Maybe they'd be able to make it work, but I just don't simply see this happening. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's episode of Monday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about what we discussed in today's video. Would you like to have a randomized option for customization added into Siege? Do you not think that's necessary? Give me your guys' thoughts down below. As always, if you'd like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, you can always leave a comment or by sending me a Facebook or Twitter message. But until next time, guys, have a good one and take it easy.